Welcome to the Marineff Boat Mooring Introduction video. My name is Jess Bone and I'm a Research Assistant for the Marineff project. The Marine Station of Project Partner National Museum of Natural History of Dinard, France, in conjunction with Project Lead Partner ESICT of Caen, France, have designed a new type of boat mooring. To do this, the National Museum of Natural History in France looked into the creation of a new design of mooring module as an artificial reef that could favour the colonisation of marine life. The National Museum of Natural History used its knowledge of the natural environment and species to create a bioreceptive reef. One of the scientific objectives was to use the reef as a tool for sampling biodiversity at the scale of the deployment site, in its entirety, through the observation of species present only on the artificial reef. Another objective of the Marineff project, around the creation of the mooring module, was to set up a citizen science program for recreational divers, allowing them to monitor the colonisation of the mooring reef through the implementation of simplified monitoring protocols. In order to integrate this project in a coherent local context between the objectives of the Marineff project and the expectations of local stakeholders, the National Museum of Natural History in France focused on the creation of fixed moorings on highly frequented dive sites in the Bay of St. Malo. Scuba diving is an important economic activity in the Bay of St. Malo, thanks to its rich sea life and its numerous boat and shipwrecks. However, very few sites are equipped with a fixed mooring. The clubs are then forced to anchor on the site to allow their divers to dive safely. This anchoring, repeated by all the clubs throughout the year, generates disturbance and degradation to the seabed and natural resources. The installation of fixed moorings on highly frequented dive sites has thus made it possible to stop the anchoring and to facilitate access to the sites for the diving clubs. Targeting sites frequented by recreational divers has facilitated the implementation of citizen science. 3 rocky sites often frequented in the Bay of St. Malo were then selected in agreement with the diving clubs of the region. These 3 sites are also distributed according to a coast to offshore gradient, in order to study the variability of the biodiversity generated by the distance to the coast. A 4th site was selected following an administrative request. This 4th site corresponds to the wreck of the Fetlar, one of the best preserved and most visited wrecks in the bay. The 3 rocky sites also present a similar profile with the presence of a rocky peak descending to a rocky plateau located between 6 to 8 meters depth. From this plateau, we have easy access to a rocky seabed, very rich in biodiversity, ending around 13 meters deep. Once the dive sites were selected to meet the project's objectives, the reef design had to be created in relation to the surrounding environment. Currently, most of the moorings put in place on dive sites are smooth concrete blocks that only serve as anchor points for the mooring. There is no infrastructure allowing biodiversity to find refuge. However, many examples of artificial reefs inspired by natural habitats, with various designs depending on the desired outcomes, exist mainly on the Mediterranean coast. Very few of these artificial reefs, however, combine the function of a mooring module, allowing boats to moor, with the ecological function of hosting biodiversity. It was therefore necessary to invent a new type of artificial reef while taking inspiration from existing work and the natural environment chosen to immerse the Marineff artificial modules. Using the knowledge acquired over many years by the National Museum of Natural History in France on the natural rocky environment and the associated biodiversity, a new artificial reef design was conceived. A balance had to be struck between scientific requirements and technical manufacturing constraints in order to design an artificial reef that would function both as a boat mooring and as a marine habitat, allowing marine biodiversity to colonize and find refuge. The Marineff mooring has been designed in 3 parts. The first part is the main body. It is equipped with 3 feet, creating a shelter under the mooring for mobile species, and a central trunk allowing the assembly of the other 2 parts, while providing a solid fixing point for the mooring. This part, being the load-bearing and heaviest part of the mooring, is therefore used for the anchoring. The second part, provided with platforms and holes, provides a variety of shelter opportunities for mobile species with points of escape. The third part, a half-spherical section with holes, crevices and sloping aspects, provides the mooring with the maximum number of habitats and microhabitats, allowing species with different ecological requirements to settle and shelter. All three parts bring together habitats present in the natural environment in order to allow a maximum number of species to find refuge there. One of the objectives of the citizen science program being, in the long term, to be able to use the artificial reef as a sampling tool of the biodiversity at the scale of the whole deployment site. Once the three parts are assembled, the reef measures 160 centimeters in diameter and 130 centimeters in height for a total weight of nearly 3 tons. 4 Marineff mooring modules have been designed and immersed on the 4 selected sites. In order to meet the Marineff objective of designing new maritime infrastructure that are more eco-friendly, the National Museum of Natural History in France has also designed, in association with the Inner Rope Design Office, a new type of mooring. Indeed, most of the moorings currently used are equipped with a chain at the base of the mooring that can accommodate the tidal range. In order to avoid damaging the Marineff mooring and the seabed with a chain system, it was necessary to design a new type of floating mooring, whilst accommodating the large tidal range found in the Bay of St. Malo, which can reach up to 13.9 metres. This new mooring consists of a rope entirely made of high-performance textile, protected by a high-density polyethylene tube, which limits biofouling and protects the rope from boat propellers. This is provided with yellow buoys to enable floating, but also signalling its presence on the surface. A large pink buoy signals the location of the mooring and allows the boats to attach themselves. This new anchorage has been installed on all 4 Marineff mooring modules. Thanks for watching. There are more videos in the boat mooring series which are listed on screen. Be sure to also visit our social media and the Marineff project website for more resources.